Tonight, I invite you to let go of the weight of your day and drift with me into a different kind of journey. A journey not across the solid ground of history, but beneath the oceans that cradle it. For hidden in the waves, in the shifting sands and quiet currents, are stories that humankind has half forgotten. Lost cities, sunken temples, drowned worlds, each with its own memory, its own whisper, its own dream. Before we drift into this gentle bedtime journey, take a moment to like the video and subscribe if you enjoy winding down with these late-night journeys through stories and imagination. If you'd like, leave a comment with where you're listening from and what time it is there. It's always wonderful to picture our little community scattered across the globe, all tuning in together. Take a slow, deep breath. Imagine yourself floating on calm water, the moon above shimmering across its surface. With every exhale, you sink a little deeper, not into fear, not into darkness, but into serenity. The world around you softens, the edges blur, and soon you find yourself descending into the depths of time itself. Beneath the oceans lie the lost worlds of history. Some are myths, stories passed down through centuries. Others are real, rediscovered in fragments of stone, shards of pottery, and statues pulled from the seabed. Together, we will drift among them, moving gently from one to another, as though the currents themselves are carrying us. And where better to begin than with the most famous of all lost worlds, Atlantis. The tale of Atlantis comes to us through the words of the philosopher Plato, who wrote of it more than 2,000 years ago. In his dialogues, Timaeus and Critias, he described a grand island empire that existed 9,000 years before his own time. Atlantis, he said, lay beyond the Pillars of Hercules, what we now call the Strait of Gibraltar, the narrow gateway between the Mediterranean and the Atlantic Ocean. It was a land of immense wealth and power, with temples that gleamed in gold, harbors filled with ships, and rulers who commanded not only their island, but lands far beyond. Yet, as the story goes, pride and corruption crept into their hearts. The Atlanteans turned from virtue to greed, seeking to expand their empire endlessly. Angered by their arrogance, the gods struck the island. In a single day and night of misfortune, Atlantis sank into the sea, vanishing beneath the waves. As you float in the still waters of your own imagination, picture Atlantis as Plato described it. A great capital city, with concentric rings of land and sea, each circle connected by bridges and canals. At the center rose a shining temple to Poseidon, the god of the sea, its walls plated with precious metals that caught the sun like fire. The streets were wide and orderly, filled with a quiet bustle of merchants and craftsmen. Markets overflowed with grain, fruits, and shimmering cloth. Ships returned from distant voyages, their sails white against the deep blue horizon. And all around, the island stretched green and fertile, its mountains rising in the distance, its rivers flowing clear to the sea. You might imagine yourself walking there. The air warm, the salt breeze carrying voices from the harbor. Marble columns line the pathways, and statues of horses and sea creatures watch with silent pride. Children run along the steps of temples, laughter ringing against stone. Everything feels alive, prosperous, eternal, and yet, beneath it all, a quiet tremor, the earth shifting, waters beginning to stir. The ocean that gave Atlantis its riches waits with patient silence. In Plato's tale, the end came swiftly. Perhaps an earthquake, perhaps a storm, perhaps both together. The ground shook, the sea surged forward, and walls that seemed eternal crumbled in a single night. As you drift in your thoughts, imagine standing by the harbor as the water rose higher than the tallest masts. Statues toppled, temples cracked, and voices filled the air, not with laughter, but with cries carried away by the wind. And then, silence. When the waves retreated, the city was gone. Not destroyed in ruins above ground, but swallowed whole, concealed by the ocean's eternal embrace. Atlantis, if it ever was, became not a place you could walk, but a memory, a legend passed from one dreamer to the next. What makes Atlantis so enduring? Why, thousands of years later, do we still whisper its name? Perhaps because it lies between history and myth. Some say it was nothing more than a story Plato invented, a lesson wrapped in allegory, a warning against pride and hubris. Others suggest he preserved an echo of real events. Perhaps the fall of the Minoan civilization after the eruption of Thera, or the flooding of some long-forgotten island in the Atlantic. And then there are those who dream still of discovery. Explorers, divers, and dreamers who scan the ocean floor for evidence, convinced that one day they will stumble upon the lost city. But maybe, just maybe, Atlantis is not a single place at all. Maybe it is the symbol of every civilization that rose in greatness only to vanish. Every lost world that now lies silent beneath the sea. As you imagine these things, notice how calm the waters around you feel. The ocean does not rush or roar, it breathes slowly, endlessly, like a heartbeat as old as the earth itself. It is not cruel nor kind. It simply holds, and in its embrace, the fragments of history remain. Columns half buried in sand, pottery scattered among coral, the faint outline of a street where no one has walked for thousands of years. The ocean remembers, even when we do not. Now, let the image of Atlantis fade. The marble walls dissolve into water. The temples sink deeper. The voices quiet until there is nothing left but the sound of gentle currents. You are drifting again, carried not by urgency, but by the natural flow of time. The ocean has many secrets yet to share, many more lost worlds resting in its depth. Beyond the horizon, another land waits. Not a myth this time, but a place that truly was Doggerland, the great plain beneath the North Sea. But that story belongs to the next chapter. For now, floating stillness. Let your breath deepen, your body rest heavy and warm. You are safe, drifting through history's most peaceful silence. The image of Atlantis drifts away into the depths, its gleaming temples fading into shadow. The ocean carries you onward, across time and tide, until the waters grow cooler and the current guides you northward. The Mediterranean warmth fades. replaced by the deep embracing air of the North Sea. Here, beneath the restless waves, lies another lost world, not born of myth alone, but of history, geology, and memory. This was Doggerland, sometimes called the Atlantis of the North. Today, ships pass over it without thought, their hulls rocking on waves above. But once, not so long ago, Doggerland was not a seabed at all. It was land-rolling hills, fertile plains, and winding rivers that stretched between what is now Britain and the continent of Europe. Imagine, if you will, standing not on a boat in the North Sea, but on a great plain stretching farther than the eye can see. The wind brushes across tall grasses. Rivers curve like ribbons through forests alive with deer and elk. Families of people, hunter-gatherers, move gently across the land, their fires glowing softly at night. For thousands of years, Doggerland was home. And then, slowly, the waters came. They're back in time to about 12,000 years ago. The Ice Age is ending. Glaciers retreating across Europe. What they leave behind is a vast and fertile land. Doggerland stretched from the white cliffs of Britain to the shores of Denmark and the Netherlands. It was not a barren steppe, but a place of life. Picture wide valleys, lush with rivers and lakes, marshes teeming with fish and birds, herds of red deer and wild cattle crossing meadows under pale northern skies. Here lived people, our ancestors. They carried spears of flint, wore furs against the chill, and built shelters from wood and bone. Their children played by the water's edge, skipping stones into still pools. Their stories, their songs, rose into the air and vanished with the smoke of their fires. Doggerland was not a single city, like Atlantis, but a whole world of villages and tribes. A place where the pulse of human life beat quietly, in rhythm with the land. But the earth was changing. Slowly, almost invisibly, the seas began to rise as the ice melted. Rivers swelled, valleys flooded. Year after year, generation after generation, the shoreline crept closer. Imagine living there, watching the land shift. A familiar hunting ground, now a marsh. A safe path, now a shallow bay. The ocean, once distant, now lapping at the door of a camp. At first, the change was slow. Perhaps they moved inland, adapting as their parents had. But the waters kept coming. The ground that once gave food and shelter was lost to the tide. And then, about 8,000 years ago, the sea rose sharply. A vast, catastrophic flood, perhaps caused by the bursting of glacial lakes in the far north, poured into the plain. The ocean surged forward, swallowing valleys, rivers, and forests in its path. Doggerland drowned. Today, beneath the waters of the North Sea, the traces of Doggerland still lie. Fishermen sometimes pull bones and tools from their nets. Antlers carved by human hands, spear tips chipped from flint, even pieces of wood shaped long ago. On the seabed, sonar scans reveal ghostly images of riverbeds, hills, and coastlines. A landscape preserved in silence, its stories scattered but not erased. Close your eyes and imagine descending through the waves, down to that seabed. There, In the dim light, the outlines of forests can still be seen, roots buried in silt, trunks long since turned to stone. Rivers that once sparkled in the sun now cut dark lines in the sand. And if you listen, perhaps you can almost hear the crackle of a fire, the murmur of voices that once rose into the northern sky. Though Doggerland has no great temples or shining statues, it holds something more intimate, the memory of daily life. Picture a family on the banks of a river. A mother bends to wash hides, while her children chase each other through the grass. A father mends a fishing net, his hands steady, his movements familiar. Nearby, elders share stories of the hunt, their voices carrying wisdom older than memory. These were ordinary lives, lived with care and love, shaped by the rhythm of nature. And then, in time, they too had to move, abandoning their homes as the sea took more each year. For some, the rising waters meant simply a new shore. For others, it meant loss beyond words, the graves of ancestors, the places of childhood, all swallowed by the waves. Now, when the wind howls across the North Sea, some say it carries the memory of Doggerland, a land that was, but is no more. Imagine standing on a modern ship, waves crashing against steel. Beneath you, a world rests silent and unseen. Where the waters churn wide and wild, there once were meadows. Where gulls wheel and cry, there once were forests filled with songbirds. The silence of Doggerland is not empty. It is heavy, filled with echoes. Echoes of laughter, of footsteps, of songs that will never be heard again. Across many cultures, there are stories of great floods that drown the world. Tales of gods, of fate, of waters rising without mercy. Perhaps some of those stories are fragments of real memory, echoes of places like Doggerland, people remembering, in myth and song, what was lost. To those who lived there, the sea's advance must have felt like the hand of the divine, a force unstoppable, reshaping their world forever. And so, Doggerland too becomes part of that greater human memory, a reminder of how fragile home can be and how quickly the earth can change. The waters here grow restless. Waves break against the coasts of Britain and Europe, as if marking the line between what is seen and what is hidden. Doggerland rests beneath them still, patient, quiet, eternal. But the current is moving again, carrying you onward, farther east, past rivers and islands, past coasts where ships gather, until you find yourself in warmer waters once more. The seabed rises into terraces, strange and angular, as though steps carved by some ancient hand. The light shifts, glimmering on shapes that do not belong to the natural world alone. Here, in the seas of Japan, another mystery waits. The Yonaguni Monument, a place where stone and ocean meet, leaving us to wonder, was it built by human hands or shaped only by the sea itself? And so, your journey continues. The tides carry you gently away from the flooded plains of Doggerland. The waters grow clearer, warmer, and brighter as you drift eastward, across oceans vast and calm. The endless horizon bends into the Pacific, where islands rise like emeralds from sapphire seas. Here, off the southern coast of Japan, a secret rests beneath the waves. The island is called Yonaguni, the westernmost point of Japan, close to Taiwan. Its rugged cliffs face the sea like ancient guardians, while beneath its waters lies something strange, something both mesmerizing and puzzling. A massive structure carved into steps, terraces, and platforms that plunge deep into the ocean floor. Some call it the Yonaguni Monument. To others, it is the lost ruin of a forgotten civilization. And to some, it is nothing more than a quirk of nature. Imagine yourself slipping below the surface here, the warm waters wrapping around you like silk. Sunlight filters through the waves, creating a shifting dance of gold and turquoise. Schools of fish dart by in flashes of silver, and coral clings to the stone below. And then, through the clear blue, you see it, a vast shape rising from the seabed. Straight edges where none should be, platforms as wide as city squares, steps that descend deeper and deeper, as though leading into the heart of the earth itself. It is not jagged, not broken like most natural rock formations. No, these are sharp lines, corners cut with precision. As you drift closer, the monument reveals itself like a sunken temple. The structure stretches nearly 300 feet long and more than 70 feet tall. Its sides are flat and vertical, its layers stacked like the steps of a pyramid. Terraces connect with wide platforms, and stairways seem to lead down into shadows below. Some divers speak of roads carved into the stone, of gates and doorways that open into nothing but water. Others describe strange markings, patterns that could be carvings, though time and current have softened their shape. Was this once a city? A ceremonial center? Or is it simply a rock formation, shaped by the patient hand of the sea? Scientists debate the truth of Yonaguni. Some geologists believe the monument is natural, formed by sandstone splitting along fault lines. Over thousands of years, the currents of the ocean may have sculpted the steps and terraces, but others are not so sure. The sharpness of the edges, the angles of the walls, the way the structure seems to rise with intention, all suggest human design. Could it be the work of an ancient people, lost to history, who built their monuments by the sea before it swallowed them? And if so, who were they? Japan's known civilizations, like the Jomon culture, thrived thousands of years ago, but the Yonaguni monument may be far older. Some suggest it could be 12,000 years old, dating back to a time when seas were lower and land stretched farther. If true, Yonaguni would stand among the oldest structures ever created by human hands. Let your imagination fill the silence. Picture Yonaguni not beneath water, but standing proud under the sun. The steps rise toward the sky, forming a pyramid where people gather. Priests in robes of woven fiber chant prayers to the sea, offering shells and pearls. Fishermen unload their catch in nearby harbors, their boats tied to wooden posts along the shore. Children chase each other across the terraces, their laughter echoing against the stone. Perhaps this was a place of worship, where people honored the ocean that gave them life. Or a fortress, standing guard at the edge of an island kingdom. Or perhaps simply a monument, built not for power or defense, but to remind all who saw it of their connection to the sea and sky. And then, as in Doggerland, The waters rose. The ocean reclaimed the stone. The people left or vanished, and the monument was forgotten until divers discovered it again in the 20th century. As you drift across the monument in your mind, the water is calm. Fish weave between the terraces as though they were streets. Coral clings to the steps like vines over ancient ruins. The currents whisper against the stone, their sound deep and soothing, like the low hum of the earth itself. There is no urgency here, no need for answers. Whether carved by human hands or by the ocean alone, Yonaguni stands as a wonder. A mystery, yes, but also a reminder that the boundary between nature and civilization is not always clear. The sea shapes, humans shape, and in the end, time erases the difference. What is it about lost places that stirs the human heart? Perhaps it is the invitation to dream. Yonaguni may be nothing more than rock, but when we look at it, we see possibility. We see civilizations we cannot name, people whose voices we cannot hear. We see ourselves reflected in their silence, wondering if we too will one day be forgotten. But the ocean does not ask such questions. It holds the monument as it holds everything quietly, patiently, without judgment. The currents pull you gently from the monument now. The great steps fade into blue shadow, their mystery left behind but never forgotten. The ocean guides you westward, toward warmer seas once more. Ahead lies a coast where once stood bustling harbors, temples, and cities of gold. A place where Egyptian priests worshipped their gods, where statues taller than men watched over the Nile's mouth, where ships brought treasures from every corner of the ancient world. Those cities too would sink, swallowed by the Mediterranean. Their names were Heracleion and Canopus, and their ruins still rest beneath the waters of Egypt. The ocean carries you closer. The waters of Yonaguni fade into the endless blue, and the current carries you westward again, across the wide Pacific, over continents and deserts, until at last you arrive at the heart of the ancient world. Here, the Mediterranean Sea stretches out before you, a place where empires rose and fell, where gods were worshipped and kingdoms traded treasures across endless waves. On the northern coast of Egypt, near the mouth of the Great Nile, two cities once stood proud, Heracleion and Canopus. They were cities of wealth and splendor, gateways where Greece met Egypt, where gods were honored and merchants thronged the harbors. But like Atlantis, like Doggerland, like Yonaguni, they too vanished beneath the waves. For more than 1,000 years, they lay hidden, forgotten, until divers rediscovered them only recently, statues rising once more into the light. Close your eyes and picture Heracleion as it once was, a harbor city, gleaming at the edge of the Nile Delta. Ships from every land gathered here, Greek triremes, Egyptian vessels with tall sails, Phoenician traders heavy with cedar and glass. The air was filled with voices in many tongues, the cries of sailors, the clatter of goods unloaded onto docks. Temples rose above the harbor, their columns painted in bright colors, their altars heavy with offerings. Heracleion was sacred too. It was here, legend says, that Heracles himself first set foot in Egypt, and so the Greeks gave the city his name. But to the Egyptians, it was a holy place of Amun, the great god of creation. Pilgrims came to the temples here to give thanks, to ask blessings, to join festivals that lit the night with music and fire. Not far from Heracleion lay Canopus, a city equally famous, though in a different way. Canopus was known for its festivals, its joy, its celebration of life. Its temples honored Osiris, the god of rebirth, and in its streets, people from every land gathered to feast and dance. The canals of Canopus glowed with lamplight as night fell, while music drifted from courtyards into the warm air. For centuries, Canopus was said to be a place where the sacred and the joyous met, where prayers and laughter mingled under the same stars. But the Nile Delta is not stable ground. The earth here shifts with the river's weight, and the sea presses endlessly against the shore. One night, centuries ago, the land shook. Earthquakes rippled through the delta, and the soft earth gave way. Water surged into the streets, flooding temples and markets. Some say tsunamis rolled in from the sea, while the Nile itself overflowed. In moments, what had stood for 1,000 years began to crumble. Temples that once echoed with chants fell silent beneath the waves. Statues of gods toppled into the dark, their stone faces gazing upward through the water. And just like that, Heracleion and Canopus were gone. For more than a millennium, the cities were forgotten. Ancient texts whispered their names, but no one knew where they lay. Sailors spoke of ruins glimpsed beneath the water, but no proof ever came. Then, in the year 2000, divers searching the seabed near Alexandria made an astonishing discovery. There, half buried in silt and sand, stood colossal statues, figures of pharaohs, of gods, of queens, preserved beneath the sea. Columns, walls, and sphinxes lay scattered, as though the cities had only just fallen asleep. Slowly, the story of Heracleion and Canopus began to rise again. Archaeologists brushed silt from carvings of hieroglyphs, raised statues that had not seen light in centuries, and traced the outlines of temples where festivals once echoed. Imagine descending into these waters now. The Mediterranean is warm, the light filtering down soft and golden. There on the seabed, you see the broken streets of Heracleion, a great statue of the god Hapi, the spirit of the Nile, lies on its side, half buried, but still smiling. Nearby, the massive figure of a queen, her crown still proud, rests in silence. The stones of temples rise like islands in the sand, pillars carved with lotus flowers, their colors faded, but their shapes strong, reach upward as though still yearning for the sun. You drift through an avenue where priests once walked in solemn procession, their chants echoing in memory alone. In Canopus, fragments of Osiris's shrines lie scattered. Alabaster jars, broken but still luminous, glimmer faintly in the light. Columns lean against each other like weary travelers, while statues of gods rest in coral embrace. The silence here is soft, not mournful. It is the silence of memory, preserved, waiting. When you think of these cities, remember that they lived for centuries before the sea took them. Generations were born, laughed, and died here. Their footsteps shaped the stone, their voices filled the air, their festivals lit the night. The sea swallowed their walls, but not their memory. It held them gently, hiding them from sight until the time came to reveal them again. And now, as divers brush sand from the faces of gods, it feels as though the past is breathing once more. As you drift above Heracleion and Canopus, imagine the world as it was. Ships unloading grain and gold, priests lifting their arms in prayer, children running through courtyards, their laughter rising against the stone. And then imagine the water rushing in, swallowing everything in silence, the gods themselves sinking into shadow, the memory of life held not in words, but in the endless embrace of the sea. Here, history and myth are one, for the ocean does not distinguish between them. It remembers everything, quietly, patiently, forever. The Mediterranean grows calm once more. The cities of Egypt fade behind you, their statues still resting in the deep. The sea pulls you onward again, into darker waters, where myths of floods echo across the ages. Ahead lies the Black Sea, where some believe a great deluge once swept through, drowning villages and shaping stories of floods told across the world. You drift closer toward the Black Sea's shadowed depths, where another chapter of history's oceanic memory waits. The ocean, with its endless tides and whispering waves, has always been more than water. It has been a memory keeper, carrying fragments of civilizations long gone, washing them ashore like quiet reminders that history is never truly lost, only waiting to be uncovered. Tonight, we drift toward the forgotten harbors and mythic shores that lie hidden beneath both water and story, places where humanity and the sea once met, only to part ways, leaving behind echoes that now lull us into stillness. In the far Mediterranean, there once stood the bustling port city of Heracleion, a hub of commerce and devotion, a city dedicated to the gods and woven into the fabric of Egyptian and Greek exchange. For centuries, Heracleion was a jewel of trade, its wharves brimming with goods from distant lands. Priests offered blessings to the sailors, and great stone statues looked out to sea, guardians of wealth and ritual. But the earth beneath it was restless. Slowly, imperceptibly, the ground softened, the waters pressed in, and the city surrendered. Heracleion slipped beneath the waves, not in a single dramatic moment, but in centuries of sinking. Today, divers explore its remains, colossal statues lying on the seafloor, coins scattered like spilled offerings, and silent temples waiting in the deep. When we imagine Heracleion, we see torchlight glimmering on the water, hear the clamor of merchants, the prayers whispered to deities of the sea. Now all is hushed, and in that silence, the city seems more alive than ever a dream preserved by water. Farther north, along the British coastline, legends speak of Lyonesse, a kingdom said to have stretched far into the sea beyond Cornwall. Tales describe fertile fields, stone churches, and bustling towns, all swallowed in a single stormy night. Some say a tolling bell still rings beneath the waves on quiet evenings. Fishermen tell of ghostly lights seen on the horizon, as though the kingdom, in some spectral form, still lingers just out of reach. Whether Lyonesse was real land now submerged, or a story born of memory and longing, it endures because people need it to. It is a reminder that the sea has always been close, always listening, always capable of rewriting the map of the human world. Across the oceans, in the Pacific, islands themselves become storytellers. The Polynesians, masters of navigation, carried with them tales of Hawaii, a homeland that lay somewhere beyond the horizon. For some, Hawaii was a real place, an ancestral island now lost. For others, it was spiritual, a place where souls returned after death, a mythic shore where ancestors gathered. In these stories, the sea is not an obstacle, but a bridge, a pathway to memory and belonging. Even if the exact location of Hawaii has vanished, its essence remains alive in the oral traditions of Pacific peoples, anchoring their journeys and their identity. And then there are the harbors of myth, where the line between history and imagination blurs like mist over the tide. Consider Atlantis, the most famous lost world of all. Plato's tale tells of an island empire advanced in knowledge and rich in resources, destroyed in a single day and night of catastrophe. For centuries, thinkers, explorers, and dreamers have searched for Atlantis under the Mediterranean, in the Caribbean, near the Azores, even beneath Antarctica's ice. Perhaps Atlantis was never meant to be found. Perhaps it was always an allegory, a story about pride and downfall. But in the soft hours of night, it becomes something else. A lullaby of longing, a reminder of how humans dream of lands just out of reach, places we sense more than know. The ocean holds countless such harbors, some historical, some mythic, and some in between. Beneath the Black Sea, archaeologists have uncovered ancient shorelines now submerged, evidence of villages lost when waters surged. In Scandinavia, sagas speak of sunken lands off the Danish coast. Along India's shores, ruins near Dwarka are said to match descriptions from epic texts, hinting at cities older than memory. Each harbor, whether proven or imagined, carries a resonance. They are thresholds where land meets water, where human life touches the endlessness of the sea. And when they vanish, they take a part of humanity with them, yet leave behind stories that ripple outward like waves. As we drift deeper into this night, let us imagine walking through one of these harbors at dusk. The air smells of salt and wood smoke, the sky glows with the last embers of sun, and boats sway gently at their mooring. Merchants call out in languages familiar and strange. Children run along the docks, and priests light lamps to guide the sailors. And then, centuries later, silence. The water covers all, leaving only shadows of what was. And yet, if you listen closely, perhaps you can still hear the echoes. Laughter, footsteps, voices, fading into the lull of the tide. The harbors may be forgotten by the world, but not by the ocean. The sea remembers, always. Thus we float past Heracleion, past Leonis, past the mythic shores of Hawaii and Atlantis, each one a waypoint, a pause in the great journey of time, each one inviting us to slow our breathing, to let the rhythm of the waves carry us further into calm. The forgotten harbors call us not to mourn what is gone, but to rest in the knowledge that all things, cities, kingdoms, stories, return to the sea, and there they are kept safe, waiting, like dreams beneath the surface. The waves of the Aegean Sea roll gently along the southern coast of Laconia, Greece. At first glance, the waters seem no different from any other stretch of coastline, blue, shimmering, touched by the breeze. Yet, beneath the calm surface lies one of the oldest known submerged cities in the world, Pavlopetri. Tonight, we drift together into its story. A place where ancient streets and courtyards remain hidden just a few meters under the waves, preserved by time, whispering of lives once lived in harmony with both land and sea. Archaeologists believe Pavlopetri dates back at least 5,000 years to the Bronze Age. Imagine for a moment the world of early Greece, before the great city-states, before Athens and Sparta, before myths were written down. This was a time of traders, farmers, artisans, and seafarers' communities shaping their lives beside the endless water. What makes Pavlopetri so extraordinary is its clarity. Beneath the sea, one can still trace the outlines of roads, buildings, and courtyards. Stone foundations show where homes once stood. Rectangular rooms suggest workshops, kitchens, and sleeping quarters. Even a central square remains, as if waiting for voices to return. Unlike other lost cities, Pavlopetri does not exist only in legend. It is tangible, mapped carefully by divers and researchers. Yet, though real, it holds the same dreamy quality as any myth, a city of ghosts lying just beyond the tide. Picture yourself swimming gently over its ruins on a still day. The water is crystal clear, sunlight streaming down through shifting ripples, casting patterns over ancient stone. You drift above narrow streets, once busy with footsteps. You pass over long rectangular homes, once warmed by firelight. You see storage jars, once filled with grain or oil, now resting silently in the sand. There is a stillness here that feels eternal, and in that stillness, you sense the pulse of life that once filled these walls, the laughter of children, the clatter of pottery, the songs of sailors preparing their vessels. The question lingers. Why did Pavlopetri vanish beneath the sea? Most believe that a series of earthquakes shifted the land, allowing the waters to swallow it. Greece is a land of restless geology, where the earth trembles and reshapes itself. Perhaps the people of Pavlopetri felt the ground shudder, saw the waves rise, and were forced to leave. Others suggest gradual sea level rise, the slow encroachment of water over centuries. In this telling, there was no single moment of disaster, only a patient tide that reclaimed the town piece by piece. Either way, Pavlopetri became a city between two worlds, neither entirely lost nor truly living, a memory suspended beneath the waves. Yet Pavlopetri is not only a place of absence, it is also a window into the deep past, a glimpse of how early Mediterranean people lived and thrived. Researchers have found evidence of textile production, of pottery workshops, of organized trade. The city's layout suggests a community both structured and vibrant. Some rooms open directly onto streets, suggesting bustling marketplaces. Others cluster around courtyards, spaces for family gatherings under the Mediterranean sun. And always, the sea was close. Pavlopetri's people were seafarers, connected by trade routes that stretched across the Aegean and beyond. Their world was one of boats and harbors, of journeys guided by stars, of exchange between distant lands. To drift above its ruins today is to glimpse not just a city, but a network, a web of life that tied together ancient Greece long before the glory of Athens or the legend of Troy. Stories often paint the sea as a thief, taking from humanity what it loves. But perhaps, with Pavlopetri, the opposite is true. Perhaps the sea has been a guardian. Had the town remained on land, the passing centuries might have erased it. Stones scattered, walls dismantled, new villages rising over old. But beneath the water, time slowed. The sea held Pavlopetri gently, shielding it from the full erosion of ages, keeping its streets intact so that we might rediscover them. It is almost as though the ocean knew we would one day need to remember. Imagine, now, walking through Pavlopetri, not with scuba gear, but as its citizens once did. The morning sun rises over the Aegean, painting the sky in gold. Fishermen return with their catch, sails furled, voices carrying over the harbor. The smell of bread drifts from clay ovens, while artisans lay out pottery in the marketplace. Children run through narrow streets, their laughter echoing between stone walls. Women gather at wells, their voices weaving together like song. In the courtyards, families prepare meals, sharing news of journeys and festivals. Life is simple, but not small. For though Pavlopetri was modest in size, its people were part of something vast, a Mediterranean world of exchange, myth, and memory. When we drift away from Pavlopetri, we carry with us not only the image of submerged stones, but the sensation of life still humming beneath the surface. The sea does not erase, it transforms. It turns streets into rippling mosaics, homes into coral gardens, silence into a lullaby. Pavlopetri reminds us that history does not vanish. It simply shifts, waiting in the quiet places for us to listen. As you breathe slowly now, imagine the waves moving gently overhead. Each rise and fall is a heartbeat of the ocean, steady and soothing. Each ripple is a passage of time, flowing endlessly, carrying memories across centuries. Pavlopetri rests beneath those waters, patient and serene. And as you rest, you too are held by the rhythm of the sea, safe, cradled, drifting deeper into the calm. From the crystal blue waves of the Aegean, the ocean currents now carry us across continents and oceans, all the way to the heart of South America. Nestled high in the Andes, straddling the border of modern-day Peru and Bolivia, lies Lake Titicaca, the largest lake in South America, and one of the highest navigable bodies of water in the world. Its waters shimmer like polished turquoise, stretching far into the horizon, reflecting the snow-capped peaks that rise like silent guardians. Beneath its calm surface, hidden from sight, lie ruins older than most empires, sacred temples, and stone cities that whisper of civilizations long vanished. The temples of Lake Titicaca. Lake Titicaca has been central to human life for thousands of years. Its waters have nourished countless civilizations, from the earliest settlements to the mighty Tiwanaku Empire, whose influence extended far across the Andes. Imagine the lake as it once was for these ancient peoples. Villages perched along the shore, reed boats gliding silently across the water, carrying farmers and traders with their goods. Farmers tended terraced fields, growing potatoes, quinoa, and maize, while children laughed and played along the water's edge. The lake was sacred, a gateway between worlds. The people believed that the sun and moon were born here, emerging from its depths to illuminate the world above. Temples rose along the shorelines, built with immense stone blocks, carved with the symbols of gods, nature, and the star. Over centuries, some of these temples, once towering and magnificent, were claimed by the lake itself. Rising water levels, natural erosion, and shifting soils caused entire settlements to disappear beneath the surface. Today, divers exploring Lake Titicaca uncover stone platforms, carved blocks, and foundations that hint at grand ceremonial centers. Some structures align with the solstices and equinoxes, reflecting an advanced knowledge of astronomy and sacred geometry. Imagine drifting through these underwater ruins. Stone blocks, smooth from centuries of water, rise like stairs from the lake bed. Platforms once used for ceremonies now cradle algae and small fish. The water is cool and clear, filtering sunlight into beams that dance across the submerged temples, illuminating carvings and statues left behind. Even now, the temple ruins exude a quiet energy, as though the spirits of the people who built them linger, watching over the lake and its modern inhabitants. Lake Titicaca is wrapped in legend. The Inca believed that the first Inca rulers emerged from its waters, sent by Inti, the sun god, to bring civilization to the highlands. Their stories describe sacred islands, such as Isla del Sol and Isla de la Luna, where priests and priestesses conducted rituals, communed with gods, and guarded sacred knowledge. To this day, the islands hold remnants of those civilizations, terraces, temples, and carved stones. But many structures lie just beneath the water, lost to time, yet preserved in secret. As you float above the lake, imagine stepping onto one of these sunken islands in your mind. The air smells of fresh water and blooming reeds. Soft light filters through mist, revealing stone stairs and plazas, as if the people simply stepped away for a moment, leaving the world perfectly intact beneath the waves. The people of Lake Titicaca were intimately connected with the lake, navigating it with small reed boats called totora, fishing its waters and growing crops along its fertile edges. The lake was their lifeline, provider, and protector. You can picture a priest standing on a platform above the water, performing a ritual at sunrise. The lake's surface reflects the first golden rays, casting light across the temple stones. Fishermen push off from the shore in canoes, their paddles cutting silently through the water. Children chase each other along terraces, their laughter blending with the gentle lapping of waves. Even submerged, the temples speak of this harmony, remind us that human life can coexist with nature in balance, until time and the elements slowly reclaim the built world. Modern researchers and divers continue to explore the lake's depths, uncovering new structures and artifacts almost every year. Some speculate about lost cities, entirely submerged, that predate even the Tiwanaku civilization. Could these temples hint at civilizations yet older, whose knowledge and culture remain hidden beneath the lake? Perhaps they were ceremonial centers for sun worship, all places of learning and governance. Perhaps they were homes, villages, marketplaces, ordinary lives, carried forward in extraordinary stone. As you imagine drifting above these ruins, there is a sense of timelessness. The water does not rush. The currents do not disturb. The lake cradles each stone gently, preserving it, protecting it, allowing us to glimpse the memory of a world both ancient and sacred. Close your eyes and let the scene settle. The lake is calm, reflecting the sky in soft ripples. Submerged temples rise beneath you, terraces and plazas frozen in a moment that is thousands of years old. You are floating weightless, letting the water support you. Every breath slows. Every heartbeat matches the gentle rhythm of waves. You may imagine the people who once lived here, their prayers, their laughter, their daily lives flowing into the lake's embrace. And though their stone homes are hidden, their presence lingers like a quiet echo beneath the surface. Lake Titicaca continues to sing its soft song. The reeds sway, the water laps gently, and sunlight sparkles across the surface. Even the sunken temples seem to hum with the memory of life, rituals, and devotion. As you drift, you can let the calm seep into yourself. Imagine yourself a visitor in a world long gone, yet preserved perfectly in stone and water. The past and present meet here, in the quiet depth of the lake, and it is a place of peace, a sanctuary where history becomes a lullaby. You are cradled in the gentle embrace of water, carried through centuries of memory and mystery, safe, serene, and ready to drift ever deeper into rest. From the serene waters of Lake Titicaca, we travel across continents and oceans to the western coast of India, where the Arabian Sea laps gently against the shores of Gujarat. Here, hidden beneath the waves, lies a city that has inspired devotion, wonder, and a mystery for thousands of years. Dwarka, the legendary city of Lord Krishna. Tonight, we drift into this ancient world, exploring a city that may have truly existed, yet now rests quietly beneath the sea, waiting to reveal its stories. According to the ancient Indian epics, Dwarka was a magnificent city built by Krishna himself. It was a place of gold and marble, streets lined with palaces, gardens, and temples. Scholars and devotees alike describe Dwarka as a city of perfection, a place where gods and humans coexisted, where devotion and daily life intertwined seamlessly. Imagine walking through its streets as they once were. Stone pavements reflecting sunlight, markets bustling with traders offering silk, spices, and precious gems. Temples dedicated to Krishna and other deities rise along the avenues, their towers painted in brilliant colors and adorned with intricate carvings of gods, animals, and scenes of epic tales. The sound of music drifts from the courtyards, accompanied by chants and prayers that rise toward the sky. Children run and play, chasing each other along canals lined with flowering plants. Boats glide across water-filled streets, carrying fish, fruit, and goods from distant lands. Life pulses through every corner of the city, a harmony of devotion, trade, and community. But as with so many of the world's lost cities, time and nature conspired against Dwarka. Texts and legends describe the city disappearing beneath the waves, a divine act of preservation, or a warning of impermanence. Modern marine archaeology confirms that a city once lay along this coast, partially submerged beneath the waters near modern-day Dwarka. Stone walls, foundations, and structures have been discovered off the shore, stretching over a vast area. Artifacts including pottery, anchors, and sculptures hint at a thriving urban center that existed thousands of years ago. The waters of the Arabian Sea now guard Dwarka's secrets, hiding temples and streets while preserving them in their gentle embrace. Currents and silt have coated the structures, leaving them intact yet inaccessible, like memories resting quietly beneath the wave. Dwarka was not merely a city of grandeur. It was a city of daily life, of ordinary people living extraordinary lives. Imagine a family rising with the sun, the father preparing fishing nets, the mother arranging flowers and offerings at a small shrine, children helping elders carry water from the canals. Traders set up stalls in the streets, the scent of spices mixing with the fresh sea breeze. Monks and priests chant from temple steps, guiding devotees in their morning rituals. Even beneath the waves today, one can sense the rhythm of life that once existed. Pavements, walls, and stone foundations hint at courtyards, marketplaces, and residential areas. The city, though submerged, carries the essence of human connection, family, devotion, labor, celebration, all preserved in silence. Since the 1980s, divers and marine archaeologists have explored Dwarka's submerged ruins. Their discoveries have fascinated the world. Stone streets and platforms arranged in planned grids. Temple foundations oriented with precision, possibly aligned to celestial events. Artifacts including pottery, beads, tools, and sculptures indicating an advanced and culturally rich civilization. Evidence suggesting that Dwarka was not an isolated city, but part of a wider maritime network connecting coastal regions across the Arabian Sea. These findings lend credence to the epic descriptions and fuel the imagination. Was this truly Krishna's city, or a civilization so advanced that legends grew to immortalize it? Close your eyes and drift over the site. The water is calm, light filtering down in golden beams. You see outlines of buildings, steps, and streets, all softened by centuries but still recognizable. Fish swim gracefully through open courtyards. Coral and marine life cling to the stone walls, creating a living tapestry over human construction. Sunlight dances on the water's surface, reflecting in patterns across the ruins below. There is a profound stillness here, a quiet that is not empty, but full of memory. The city rests in the embrace of the sea, preserved, protected, and waiting for those who seek to remember. Dwarka is more than a city. It is a symbol. For millions of devotees, it represents Krishna's divine presence, the harmony of human and divine, and the enduring connection between past and present. Even submerged, the city continues to inspire. Pilgrims visit the modern town, offering prayers to the waters and the city beneath. The sea itself becomes a living temple, its waves carrying devotion across centuries. As you imagine the streets and temples beneath the waves, feel the quiet devotion of the people who live there. Their lives, their rituals, their love of the divine all flow through time and water to meet us now. Now, picture yourself drifting slowly over Dwarka, Every street, every courtyard, every temple carries a story. A small plaza lies beneath the current, once the center of gatherings and festivals. Stone carvings of Krishna playing the flute can be glimpsed under sand and silt. A network of residential streets sprawls outward, each home once bustling with family life. Boats, now gone, would have carried fish, food, and travelers along the canals and docks. All is quiet, yet vibrant in memory. You feel the pulse of the city, the rhythm of human life, the devotion that filled the air even thousands of years ago. As you float above Krishna's sunken city, the water rocks you gently. Every wave becomes a breath, every ripple a heartbeat. The city beneath the sea does not mourn its loss. It rests. It sings a quiet song of history, of devotion, of life once lived. And as you drift through these memories, you too become part of the ocean's timeless rhythm, held, cradled, and soothed. The temples, streets, and courtyards remain beneath the Arabian Sea, silent but alive in spirit, inviting you to drift deeper into calm, deeper into sleep, deeper into the endless embrace of the ocean. From the sacred waters of Dwarka, the ocean currents carry us westward across the vast expanse of the Atlantic. Beneath the Caribbean sun, the sea glitters like a sheet of sapphire, calm and endless, stretching from horizon to horizon. And here, just off the coast of Bimini in the Bahamas, lie ruins that have inspired explorers, historians, and dreamers alike. The mysterious Bimini Road. Tonight, we drift through these warm waters, exploring a place where legend, mystery, and the ocean converge. A place where the sea preserves secrets as ancient as humanity itself. In 1968, divers exploring the shallow waters near North Bimini made a remarkable discovery. A series of massive, flat limestone stones arranged in a linear pattern along the seafloor. The formation stretches nearly a mile, with stones stacked in rows like a pathway leading into the depths. To some, it looks like a road, perfectly paved and carefully laid. Others see it as a natural phenomenon, shaped by currents and tides over millennia. Regardless of its origin, the Bimini Road invites imagination. Is it the remnants of a city swallowed by the ocean? Could it be connected to the legends of Atlantis, whispered by Plato and carried through generations of dreamers? Or is it simply nature's own artistry, a reminder that the world itself can shape wonders that rival human creation? Many believe the Bimini Road is tied to the lost city of Atlantis. According to Plato, Atlantis was a magnificent civilization, rich in architecture and culture, which sank beneath the waves in a single day and night of catastrophe. Imagine Atlantis as Plato described: golden spires, canals filled with crystal clear water, marketplaces bustling with traders from distant lands, and temples dedicated to gods both powerful and wise. The city was said to float between myth and reality, inspiring countless generations to dream of lost empires beneath the wave. Bimini's stone pathway might be a fragment of that legend, a tangible trace of a story that has fascinated humanity for centuries. Close your eyes and imagine gliding above the Bimini Road in the warm Caribbean waters. The sunlight pierces the clear water, illuminating the stones below in golden hues. Small fish weave in and out of the gaps, and delicate corals cling to the edges of each massive slab. You float slowly, weightless, over what might have been a road or pier or city foundation. The stones are worn, smoothed by centuries of currents, yet their pattern remains striking, almost deliberate. There is no rush here, no need to uncover all secrets. The formation rests quietly, holding its story beneath the waves, waiting for patient eyes and calm minds to witness its beauty. What draws humans to places like the Bimini Road? Perhaps it is the invitation to imagine, to consider civilizations lost to time, cities reclaimed by the ocean. Perhaps it is the reminder that the earth itself carries memory etched into stone, hidden beneath water, waiting for us to listen. As you drift over the Bimini Formation, you may feel the presence of ancient footsteps. Perhaps priests once walked along these stones, carrying offerings to the sea. Perhaps merchants once unloaded treasures from boats, trading with travelers from distant islands. Perhaps children played, their laughter echoing across the water. Even if all of this is imagination, it is the same kind of memory the ocean holds quietly for millennia. The waters of Bimini teem with life. Schools of fish dart through the currents, rays glide gracefully over sandy patches. Corals form gardens of soft pink, orange, and green, each stone supporting new life. It is easy to imagine that this vibrant marine world has replaced what once might have been human settlements. Nature reclaims and transforms, creating beauty from loss, a new ecosystem where humans once walk. Floating here, you feel both the weight of history and the lightness of life. Time is suspended. The ocean's rhythm lulls you gently, a heartbeat carried across centuries and continents. Some researchers suggest the Bimini Road might be far older than any written records, perhaps predating known civilizations in the Caribbean. Others insist it is the product of natural geology, shaped by currents and the slow sculpting hand of the sea. Either way, the formation serves as a portal for imagination. Gliding above it, one can see Atlantis, ancient mariners, lost cities, and mythic landscapes, all merging into the present moment. In this sense, Bimini is more than stone beneath water. It is a threshold between worlds, between history and legend, between reality and dream, between wakefulness and the gentle drift towards sleep. As you drift over Bimini Road, take a deep breath and let the ocean's rhythm fill you. The waves carry away tension, the gentle sway of the water rocking you into serenity. The stones below remain steady, quiet witnesses to millennia of tides and time. Imagine yourself walking along the submerged road, each step calm, deliberate, unhurried. Feel the water move around you, holding you, supporting you as you float across history, across legend, across the memory of the earth itself. Every ripple becomes a breath. Every beam of sunlight becomes a lullaby. The Bimini Road is not merely a formation. It is a meditation, a moment suspended in time, a gentle invitation to rest. The Caribbean sun reflects off the water in soft golds and blues. Tiny waves slap gently against the surface, while beneath, the stones of Bimini Road lie in patient silence. The city that may have once existed here has long been reclaimed by the sea, and yet, through water, stone, and imagination, it continues to live. The ocean hums its quiet song. The currents rock you. You feel lighter, calmer, more serene with each breath. Here, in this moment, time flows slowly. History merges with legend, and the sea cradles both the past and your own journey into rest. The Bimini Road fades slowly behind you as you drift onward, carried by waves of peace and the endless memory of oceans past. From the turquoise waters of the Caribbean, our journey now drifts outward, across oceans, across continents, across the vast tapestry of history hidden beneath the waves. We have visited sunken cities and temples, lost civilizations, and sacred harbors. Heracleion, Canopus, Pavlopetri, Lake Titicaca, Dwarka, and Bimini, each carrying the memory of human life, devotion, and imagination, each one cradled gently by the sea, patiently preserving echoes of the past for us to discover, or simply to dream about. The ocean is more than water. It is a living archive, a silent guardian of time. Every wave, every ripple carries centuries of memory. It knows the cities that fell, the harbors that vanished, the temples that sank, and the footsteps of people long gone. As you drift in gentle slumber, let yourself feel the ocean's embrace. The waves that once carried merchants and priests now cradle you. The currents that reshaped civilizations now rock you gently, like a lullaby. Even though these lost worlds lie beneath the waves, they remain alive in story, in imagination, in memory. And so, in some way, so do we. For we remember, we dream, we wonder, and we carry the past into the present. Consider the cities we have visited together, Heracleion and Canopus, where trade, devotion, and daily life thrived along the Nile's delta, now silent beneath the Mediterranean. Pavlopetri, an ancient Greek town, whose streets and homes remain submerged, but perfectly preserved. A window into Bronze Age life, Lake Titicaca's temples, resting beneath high-altitude waters, holding sacred rituals and cosmic alignments, a testament to human reverence and connection. Dwarka, Krishna's sunken city, whose temples and streets hint at devotion, artistry, and maritime life lost to time. Bimini Road, a stone formation inspiring wonder and legends of Atlantis. A threshold between history, myth, and imagination. Each one is a story of impermanence and preservation, loss and discovery. Each one reminds us of the fragile beauty of human life and the enduring power of the natural world. The ocean does not rush. It does not demand. It carries and holds. Some lost cities vanished in moments of catastrophe. Others sank slowly over centuries. Some were swallowed by time itself, fading from memory until rediscovered. Some remain hidden, perhaps forever. Yet in all these cases, the ocean has been a protector as much as it has been a taker. It shields, preserves, and transforms. Stones become reefs, streets become pathways for fish, temples become gardens of coral and algae. Memory becomes myth, and myth becomes lullaby. And as you drift in this moment, the same waves carry you into peace. Close your eyes and imagine yourself moving gently above these waters once more. The sun glints off Mediterranean waves, reflecting temples and statues lost to Heracleion and Canopus. The Aegean Sea cradles Pavlopetri's streets, letting sunlight dance across stone foundations. Lake Titicaca's high-altitude waters ripple softly, illuminating temples beneath the echoes of prayers carried in the wind. The Arabian Sea swirls around Dwarka's submerged city, carrying devotion, music, and footsteps into eternity. And the Caribbean waves rock gently over Bimini Road, whispering Atlantis' mysteries in a language older than words. Every site, every stone, every sunken pathway is a testament to humanity's endurance, curiosity, and imagination. Now, let the rhythm of the ocean guide your breathing. Inhale gently, exhale slowly. The waves rise and fall in soft cadence, echoing the heartbeat of time itself. The lost worlds beneath the oceans are quiet, serene, waiting patiently. And now you are carried by the same calm. You are safe, supported, and drifting toward sleep. Imagine the waters cradling you like a gentle hand. Imagine each wave whispering stories of human life, devotion, and wonder. Imagine the sunken temples and cities watching over you, their memory transforming into a soft lullaby. With each breath, you sink deeper into peace. With each wave, you drift further into calm. Every ripple carries away tension. Every current rocks you toward rest. The ocean never ends. Its depths are vast, mysterious, and timeless. So too are the stories it holds. Some may never be discovered. Some we will find again in fragments of stone, legend, or imagination. As you float now, let your mind drift freely across these waters. Feel the presence of history beneath you, the quiet pulse of civilizations that once were, the gentle embrace of oceans that hold them still. All is calm. All is safe. The past is a lullaby. The present is serene. The future is quiet and endless, like the ocean itself. Let yourself sink fully into rest. Drift, float, breathe. Let the waves of history and imagination carry you into dreams. The lost worlds are still here, beneath the waves, and so too are you resting, dreaming, held in the eternal embrace of the ocean. Good night.